Hey everyone, this is a clip from a recent episode of the Men of Steel podcast where we talk about Superman and Superman adjacent topics. If you enjoy this clip, check out the podcast. You can find it at certainpov.com or wherever you get your shows. It's curious because it's such a weird book.
Yeah.
I was rereading it today and I remember just being like, why? Because I enjoy it overall. But not to be too negative about it out the gate, but JLA the Nail is a really interesting, let's start with all right, well, what if we take Superman out of the equation and look at what the modern state of the DCU looks like? Mm-hmm. This one, the premise for this is well, what if Kal-El didn't land on Earth in the 20th century? What if instead his ship got caught up in the wreckage of Krypton as it's being destroyed? And so he's stuck in suspended animation for 1,000 years and they find him and then he exists in the 30th century just as a civilian of the 30th century, effectively doing the post-crisis Mon-El kind of situation.
Yeah.
I mean, very much so by the end of this book.
Yeah.
And then he just forms the Legion because he has powers and he wants to do good, and it's kind of its own time. And there's a little bit of here's a conspiracy going on and all that, but it's very much here's the Silver Age Legion jumbled all over the place. There's all these weird changes that I don't know why they necessarily did them. I don't mind most of them, but Cosmic Boy loses his arm instead of Lightning Lad, and
right.
Light Lass is literally light powers instead of light as in making things lighter.
Absolutely. That I thought was a really, really cool take.
I like that idea.
Yeah.
But I just don't know why they did it.
Yeah. I mean, it was just to be different, certainly.
Yeah, exactly.
And there were some good pieces of this that I thought kind of this retelling or this alternate universe version was good for, as part of my reintegration into the comics community in 2020, I set out to essentially read the entire Legion run as much as I could track down, right? And one of the things that I got kind of really tired of over all of those stories was seeing yet another origin story where the kids save RJ, right? Which we don't get here because it's totally different. Yeah. And the other thing being the Rand's origin. That's the other trope you see over and over again. Some of these origins were kind of neat, and the way they compared and contrasted the personalities of some of these characters gave it a very fresh take in a lot of ways.
Yeah, there's a lot to like in this book. There's a reason I wanted to bring it. I just keep on looking at it and be a lot of it's just different for the sake of being different, and that is cool, but I'm just so curious what the starting point was. What was the impetus for it? Because it's, aside from saying well, what if Superboy isn't actually from the 30th century instead of time traveling to the 30th century for fun? It's just so weird.
To your point about the nail, my thought was if they did the nail, maybe they saw, hey, this was a kind of a cool experience. We're making money off of it, well received. Let's do it for the Legion, right? Because that's another team that you could go a lot of different directions with. Maybe it was just as simple as that.
Yeah, and then they were just well, yeah, now that we have the opportunity, let's get weird.
Yeah. And you get really weird in the future.
Remember, if you like the clip, after you're done liking and subscribing, check out certainpov.com where you can find more episodes of the show as well as a ton of other great shows.